There is an incredible new weapon added in Tarkov's 1.0 that combines the access of 545 ammo with the modularity and meta-ness, I guess you could call it, of 556. And access to it is maybe not as far away as you might think. In fact, there are two of these guns, and these are the first weapons to fire 545 at over 700 RPM, beating the previous leader, the AK-12, by quite a considerable margin. And the comparatively low fire rate of 545 in the past has consistently been the downfall of this caliber at the top level of play. So enter the NL545 assault rifle. There are two versions of this, like I just said, one in black and one in tan. And the black one is referred to as the DI version and the tan one as GP. Now this refers to how the gases are dealt with inside the gun, so GP is gas piston and DI is direct impingement. But in Tarkov we don't really care about these things, and you can look it up if you want separately. But basically this black version is like a copy of the M4, and the tan version is a copy of the HK416. This is even down to their fire rates. Like you can see this one here, which is the GP version. This one has an 850 RPM, exactly like the HK, and the DI version over here has 800 RPM, exactly like the M4. And as you would imagine, this one takes a lot of the M4 parts, and this guy takes a lot of the parts for the HK, so it all kind of makes intuitive sense. With the availability of 545 ammo in Raid, these are both a very scary prospect. Although often surpassed in the late game by 7.62 NATO weapons, 5.56 and specifically the M4A1 remains very popular for PvP in Escape from Tarkov, but getting access to competitive ammo has become much more challenging in the last few years, which has limited their use a little bit. 5.45 on the other hand is all over the place in Raid, and I've even been recommending people use the AK-74U, the very basic one, because you can find anything from 5.45 PP all the way up to Igolnik in boxes of up to 120 bullets just scattered around the map. This is the same with 5.56 as well in certain locations, but with nothing like the same frequency that you get with 5.45. So the ability to combine the availability of 5.45 with something that fires much more akin to the M4 is potentially a meta-changing set of guns. So where can you get these guys from? If you go and look for these two particular weapons, you can see that the first one that you get access to is this, the Custom Guns NL545DI, so this is the M4 style one, on Skier level 3. And it is quite expensive, it's 146,000 rubles, and you get this version, but it does actually come with some quite good parts to begin with. The other version, the GP, which is more like the HK, this is only at Skier 4, so I don't have the ability to buy this from the trader just yet, and this one's even more expensive at 164k. Now I'm pretty sure this wasn't the case yesterday, but you can now buy these on the flea market, and the level at which these become available is at level 25. So the minimum for Skier is level 28, which is the base when you can get level 3 on him, and level 4 is all the way up at 38. So this is quite significantly sooner, especially for the HK one, than you might think. Level 25 is, quite far for some people, but to get access to something like this is not actually that bad. Apparently you can also get them on Reshala, and some people have been finding them loose occasionally in weapon spawns in Raid as well, so do keep an eye out for it and you may end up getting one early. So although they are pretty pricey, they do come with some good attachments, as I said, and the base stats for this thing are pretty good already. 62.5 ergonomics and 63 vertical recoil is like a mid-tier M4 right out of the gate. This is how they look if you're just firing them stood up without any attachments on at all. All I did was just stick a sight on it, and this one is called the SRO. This is kind of the new meta sight. A lot of people are saying it looks like the old PK06. It's a really, really nice one. And this goes on the Trigicon RMR mount. But if we fire these without controlling the recoil at all, they're maybe not as laser beamy as you might think, or at least as far as Reddit may lead you to believe. By modding them, however, you can bring the full power of the M4 platform to the black version here. And the minimum recoil, I'm just going to show you this just out of pure interest, so that we know what the theoretical limit is 45 vertical recoil, which is pretty damn good. Now, if we move back to the stock preset as well, all I did for using it in my raids, because I'm roughly at level 3 traders, I attached some kind of vertical foregrip, doesn't really matter which one you choose. On the front, I actually ended up going for the SF3P, which you can get at level 2 traders, and also the Mini Monster, which you can buy off the flea market. I mean, I personally think that the Mini Monster is one of the best suppressors in the game. Ever since the recoil rework came through, ergonomics is just so much more important than recoil, and the best in-slot suppressor is this guy, the M4SD. So if you just look at the comparison here, this one has minus 10 recoil versus minus 5 on this, but minus 19 ergo versus minus 7. Often the Mini Monster is just a clear winner. Especially on these guns that perform pretty well anyway, you don't need the extra recoil per se, and so I end up going with the Mini Monster half the time. Now on the back here, we've got the GL Core. Interestingly, this is the highest ergonomics of any stock that attaches to a buffer tube, and although this thing can take the ARE, I don't have access to this yet. So all I did was I just stuck a Daniel's Defense ECB on here with the thin pad. You could also alternatively use the Chris Defiance if you want. You lose a bit of ergonomics, but this is available at Peacekeeper level 2. Outside of this, just slap on any pistol grip that you have available. Level 3 traders, the Stark AR will do and is quite nice. And then just remember to put on some kind of flashlight or laser because you want to improve your point fire while you've got that on. Then you just pick any sight you like. I'll go in and use the RM33, the Trigicon RM low profile mount, and we're going to put the SRO on here so it matches what we saw in the recalled demo a second ago. And this gets us to 64 and 60, which is pretty good. Now, one of the biggest downsides about the custom guns NL weapons is that they cannot take the 60 rounder for 5.45, and this is a pretty serious disadvantage. All you can do is you can either go for the 45 rounder, which honestly isn't bad, or the humongous drum. You might just decide that this is worth it, especially if you're just using a red dot and 42 ergo. You could just try it and see. The extra weight of the ammo may well affect your ergonomics more than you expect though, because ADS speed and things like overswing are a combination of weight and ergo at the same time. But I quite like the 45 rounders, I think they're pretty good. And just as a reminder, you can only get 40 rounders over on the 5.56 side, unless you're using something like the AUG. So you get an extra 5 bullets here with the same RPM. This is what this guy looks like when it's fired. And now we'll move over to look at the HK. So on the GP version, this one starts off at 57.5 and 61, and this has got the 850 RPMs. This is technically slightly better, although it is pretty minor the difference between the two. The minimum recoil on this one is 48, so not quite as good as the other one. As you can see, it's the HK Meta handguard. And so if you were going to just edit it from here, then you can just put on another vertical foregrip, any kind of thing that you want. We'll add the SF3P and the Mini Monster back to here as well. I'm going to add the Stark AR, but in the other variety. This one comes with the MOE FDE plus the rubber back pad already, so we're just going to leave that as is. And then you can just put on a sight, whichever one you want. Again, we're going to pick the RM33 mount and the SRO because this is super nice. And then on the side this time, because the handguard isn't quite as long, we'll add a rail and we're going to put on WMX 200, which allows us to get our point fire bonus. This takes us to 60 ergonomics and 61 vertical recoil. We're going to swap this over to a big mag, and that takes us to 54 ergo and 61 vertical recoil, which isn't half bad. The only other way that you can build this, which I think might be better, but it ends up being a bit more costly, is you can swap over to this thing here, the 11.5-inch barrel. I can't actually even buy this yet myself, so you'd have to go and grab this off the flea market, but you can see the reason why you might want to do this, is the 16-inch barrel has got a 5.6 bonus to recoil, whereas this one is only 2.1, but the ergonomic swings from -19 to -6, so this is a huge difference, and I think it's probably worth using the shorter one if you can. Just have to replace the gas block, and we can put back on the SF3P with the Mini Monster onto here. And now we're up at 67 ergonomics with 65 vertical recoil. We haven't really lost all that much. So let's just focus back on the M4-esque version for a moment. The real question is, does this beat the M4? Now, I did end up making a very similar build for the M4, which I'll load up now. And I kind of tried to copy this as closely. Now you can actually use the handguard for this one, the custom guns one, on the M4 itself, which honestly isn't bad. It ends up being slightly cheaper than the long version of the LVOA. So I ended up using this on the M4 itself. So these guns are almost identical. I've used the Mini Monster as well on here. Same sight, we've used the 40 round mag instead. And this gets us to 67 ergonomics and 67 vertical recoil. So the M4 is actually worse. And the reason why is because there's things that you can do to the M4 to improve its overall performance, but it means you need to spend even more money on it. For a mid-tier build like this, I went and compared the two together, and you can see that the NL does actually outperform the M4, interestingly. And when you boil it down to its root in Tarkov, what actually controls recoil at the end of the day is the base statistics, because all of the parts are a percentage based on the starting stats of the weapon. So for the M4, that is 48 ergonomics and 119 vertical recoil. So no matter which order you put the parts on, it's always relative to this 119 vertical recoil here. That's what this means. And so when we go and look at the NL545 guns, removing all of the parts on here shows us that this weapon starts off slightly better with 45 ergonomics and 109 vertical recoil, which is about 8.5% improved over the M4. So if you use exactly the same parts, this gun will always have 8.5% better recoil. The interesting thing here is then that you would expect this to have a lower recoil than the M4 if you put all of the minimum recoil mods on, which is 45. But when you go over to the M4, you realize that this is actually 42. So the M4 can actually get lower than the NL545, and the reason for this is the much greater variety of uppers and barrels that it has. Over on the M4, you have something like the Radiant Weapons Model 1. This is the arena gun from the Battle Pass. This has -5% recoil, and this barrel that attaches here and fits with one of the newer suppressors has -6% recoil. The NL545 can't get anywhere near this because it only has one barrel, and that's at -3, and it only has one upper, and that is at -2. So ammo considerations aside, if you are just going to lightly mod these weapons, then you're probably better off with the NL545 DI. But if you're going to go all the way and make a meta recoil M4, then you're probably better off with the M4. There's a few other reasons why this is the case. The fact that the M4 itself can get 60 rounders, which is a good middle ground between the 45s and some of the massive mags. Using the big drum would be something like using the 100 rounder on the M4, which we just don't ever really do because of the negative ergo. And then secondly, the existence of this little thing, the AR-15 Magpul Bad Lever Bolt release, this only fits with certain uppers, and the Radian's Model 1 is one of the ones that it does. But this is a very underrated attachment, which allows you to reload faster if you have emptied your mag. I will show you the difference between the NL545 weapon and the M4 here, and it ends up basically being a full second of faster reload on the M4. So if you're facing off against someone else, and one person's got the M4 with the bad lever on, and the other person has the NL545 M4 edition, the PMC with the M4 is going to have a full second of uptime longer than the NL545 player, and sometimes this can really make a huge difference. So that's kind of how I draw the line. If you're not going to mod it that much, go for the NL545. If you're going to mod it tons and you want an endgame gun that is the best of the best of the best, then go for the M4. But ultimately, a lot of the time, it's going to come down to whichever ammo you actually have available. Usually, that's going to be on the side of the NL545. So I have been using this gun a little bit, so I'll show you a couple of clips of it in action. Oh, I don't actually want to do bear spawn, do I? Actually, maybe I do. Maybe we just do it anyway. Because it's such a good camp. And not everybody goes to it straight away, amazingly. Well, this is almost like perfect pathing. So if we run up here, and there's the Ledex in the bear camp. I mean, if there's a fight in there, then we fight somebody. If there's a Ledex in the bear camp, we take it and we hop, skip, and jump out of here right into Emacom. Oh, Marlin. First Marlin shot of the match. I quite like it. It's very loud. You know, you could tell where they are, at least. Just want to see if I can hear anybody at that camp first. I think I heard someone. Or was that me? Is that my footsteps? Is that two of them? I feel like there was another one. It was. I mean, they probably checked this first already, but... That was smooth. That was good. That was pretty good. Incompatible item. Okie dokie. Yeah, that made me poo myself a little bit. Just a little. What I would say, though, I think that's just an AI scout coming to investigate. But what I would say, though, is that it's one of the advantages of... Oh, I'm actually wearing the wrong headset. I was going to say it's the advantages of the thingy... the Comtech 6s, but I'm not wearing Comtech 6s. I was like, yeah, the audio compression is so good on these things. Like, yeah, it's so easy to hear where everyone's coming from. And it's just like, oh, I'm not wearing them. I want to silhouette myself there. We'll come down a little bit down the edge. Does somebody know? Those jumping sounds are so annoying. It's like 80 meters distance. Anybody who's anywhere near me is just going to hear. Now, I want to check if the car's actually there, because it's going to change what we do a little bit. It's nice to be able to get outside here now. Ow. Oh, I see him. Can I see through that gap? Yeah, he's on the roof. God bless the TC 2002 is all I'll say. Are we done? I think we're done. Look like we're done. This gun is mean. This gun is real mean. Holy crap, this gun is so good. I don't believe it. It's ridiculous. There's like no recoil on this thing at all. Dude, that gun is freaking nasty. Do you not enjoy the SRO? Why are you using the EOTech? I just know it. It's what I use in Arena. Oh wait, that was a scav. I thought that was a player. Right. Oh, I never find a Lennox in this camp. Not ever. Not ever. Jobs should be fine. Oh, man. As usual, a big shout out to all my patrons. And as always, have fun in your raids.